So I've been talking here this entire time without showing up. I just realized that it was just, I wasn't appearing. Yay, go me, go technology. Can you believe I used to do this for a living? Yeah. So anyway, going back into roses, sorry about that. Um, so there were also in Greek tradition, rose was a huge product that they used to use for gynecological issues. So one of the things that they did back then is they would use it a lot in sitz baths. As a matter of fact, one of the very first gynecological records from Greek medicine is very much involved around using roses and doing a sitz bath with a rose in order to solve all kinds of female problems and clearing female problems, because once again, it is an antiseptic, it is antibacterial, all of those things that we already talked about. So I thought that that was pretty interesting there. When it comes to uh, magic, we are going to be using roses generally in two primary categories. It's going to be a lot of times going to be for all types of love magic. Roses have a huge history in that. And it's also going to be for all types of healing medicine. So if you look at the correspondences for rose, when I started looking at it, I know that rose, I've always worked with rose as being a water Venus herb, but I saw some references to it being an earth herb as well. And I don't know exactly where that came from, but I could definitely see the energy of that being in there. I don't know if that came from the Doctrine of Signatures. My guess is going to be a no, but I could see that from working with it over time, how you would develop that relationship, because that would tie in more of the physical healing properties of the rose. So if you see somewhere and you see an elemental earth connection with roses, I think that that's where it's coming from more so than the traditional Doctrine of Signatures, which is where most everything else comes from. But I didn't have a chance to research that in depth, so take everything I'm saying with the ginormous grain of salt. Um, so let's talk about the colors of roses. This is also a very important component, because roses have had, for the different colors, have very deep meanings. And so red roses generally are going to symbolize passion, attraction, love, romantic love, all of those things. So if you are working with rose petals and you are working in attracting, if you're working in romance, any kind of areas like this, I would definitely use red roses. So if you're doing a love spell, if you're doing a spell to find a new partner, if you're doing any kind of work to bring more love into your life, I would definitely connect with the red rose for that, because it's very much within that color spectrum of what we're looking for. Now, the pink rose is also love. It's kind of more soulmate love, family love. And I would definitely use pink roses when I'm doing work for connecting with universal love. So if I'm trying to connect, you could do it if you're having, let's say, issue in your marriage and you're trying to repair the relationship, and the issue may not necessarily be in the bedroom. If it may be in other areas, communication, things like that, then at that point, my go-to would be pink roses, because you want to extend and really improve that communication with the person that you have. Um, White roses are generally a symbol of purity, of what do you call it? Of clarity, purity, all of those things. I like to use for healing. I like to use either white roses or pink roses, depending on what I have on hand. It's very difficult to purchase white roses already done. So what I tend to do is I tend to dry my own. So you can go to the store and you can get the roses, the white roses already the way they are. You bring them home. You talk to the roses. I normally let them sit in ceremony for a couple of days. I put them in my altar. I do a little ceremony of gratitude and thanks. I ask them if they're okay with doing that. And, they are entitled to have a say in that. And I tell them that this is what I'm going to need you for. I'm going to need you to work with me in healing magic. And once I get the okay from it, I say, okay. And then I pluck all of the roses and I put them in my dehydrator. So if you don't have a dehydrator, you can put it at the lowest setting in your oven with the oven open, and then just kind of keep an eye on it. It's probably going to take around 2.5, maybe 3 hours for it to dry out completely. If you have a dehydrator like I do, I normally put mine in the dehydrator for about 110 degrees for about 8 to 10 hours. And a lot of times that's going to maintain some of that white. Right. I have some that I have white that I have dehydrated, just let them air dry. And they're fine, but they do turn kind of a yellowish kind of color, which is not something that I want. So I'm going to show you. Oh, and then finally, the last one is the yellow. And I really love yellow basically to symbolize joy and happiness, a lot of the inner work that you're going to be doing. Or if you're just trying to bring a lightness of mood to something, if you're trying to bring, joy and happiness to your family, I will a lot of times use that if I'm trying to do a road opening kind of situation where there's a lot of people involved and I want everybody to feel good about the outcome, but everybody's kind of on top of each other. So you can use yellow roses to kind of do a little bit of a road opening to get everybody to kind of chill the hell out and move on to where they need to go to. If you're doing work with ancestors, I would primarily either do yellow or white. I tend to use white because for me, white have a very strong association with the dead. So you can use white roses for that. This is what they look like. This is and I did an article about this on my website, but I wanted to talk about it again. So these roses here I dehydrated them in my dehydrator. You can see that they're red, beautiful dehydrated red petals. And these were anniversary roses. So this is another way that you can tap in and you can work with rose medicine. If somebody they bought roses to give to you, as a gift. Once you receive that gift, you can sit down and tap in with those roses and say, hey, can I use you? Can I use your petals for this other type of work? And so at that point, you can tap in. If they agree to it, you let them bloom for a while, and you want to make sure that you start drying them before they start wilting. Once they start wilting, you don't want to dry them. But when they're at their peak, right before they start wilting, you can pluck them however many you need, dehydrate them, and then save them to use in relationships. For example, I still have yellow roses. I should have gotten those before I started the video, but I still have some dried yellow roses from a birthday bouquet that some friends gave to me. And this was like 2 years ago that they gave it to me, and I still have them. And they're great for all types of friendship, joy, happiness kind of work that I do. I will bring some of those roses in. Now, once you dehydrate them like this, the longer you keep them, the more they're going to lose their scent, but they don't lose their energy that they have in them. So I will keep something like this. I mean, this is not going to last me that long, but I only use this for very specific types of work. So something like this, you normally want to keep for about 3 to 4 years before I toss it. And by the time I'm using it towards the end, it may still look beautiful and be wonderful, but it does not have that strong rose scent anymore that it did in the beginning. Other ways that you can use roses in your spell work, you can create some rose syrup at home. You can add roses to your bath, add them to your bath water to create a nice self-love bath, or if you're trying to create a bath to bring love into your life or anything like that. Roses are great for emotional healing. If you're trying to do that kind of work as well, that would be a great way to do it with water, bringing in that water element and really highlighting the water element. One of the things I like to do with roses is I do a lot of healing work, either emotional or physical, with floating candles, because I think for me that work has a very strong foundation in elemental water. So I'll have my big bowl of water like this, and I'll maybe sometimes add some essential oils to that water to kind of enhance that. And then I will take these roses, not this big because my bowl is not that big, but I will take some of these roses, I'll macerate them, and I'll sprinkle them into the bowl, and I'll sprinkle them on top of the candle just to add their energy into that spell work, to send healing energies, healing vibes for somebody. So those are some of the ways that you can use it as well. You can add them to dream pillows and sachets. You can use it in tea. Rose tea. Some people love the taste of it. I am not a huge fan. I normally like to put something else with it, but rose tea can be a very big, strong tea that you can use when you're trying to do some kind of inner emotional healing as well. You can use them in incense. You can use them in candle dressing. And honey and spell jars, they are great. So if you're going to do a spell jar or a honey jar to improve a relationship, to maybe attract new love into your life, roses are going to be generally your number one go-to ingredient for doing that. Let's see if I forgot anything from here. Sitz baths. They used to create rose petal juice was created anciently as a juice that they would gargle with to reduce sores in the mouth and gums, which I guess back in those days it was a really big need. Um, but that's pretty much all I have on roses. Tomorrow we are going to be doing a ceremony where we're going to create rose water in ceremony. So that means you're going to need to have some kind of a portable device that you can add heat to. If you have a potpourri warmer pot, that works tends to work really, really well. Or if you have a little miniature fondue pot, that works really, really well too. Completely up to you what you want to use. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to use yet. I think I want to use something with a candle in it. So you can put a candle under it and do that. It's going to be a longer ceremony because this is going to need to cook for probably about 30 to 40 minutes. So we will be in ceremony during that time. But if you want to join us, you can still do so. Just go to wildacademy.com and you can hit, it's going to be the Witches Roundtable tomorrow. So the first part of the ceremony, we're going to do a roundtable where we just talk about what's going on in our lives and, kind of like asking for support from one another. And then the second half of our ceremony, we're going to create this rose water with the intent of self-healing that we can then use in all different kinds of ways. The ingredients list is posted, and it's going to be tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. is when we're going to start it. So I hope to see you there. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginnings. Like I said, you would never know I used to do this for a living before I got all woo-woo, but I apologize for that. And I hope to see you guys in 2 weeks for the next Witches In. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.